Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Innerviews, where we talk to the people behind the businesses. And today I'm chatting with Michelle Oberholzer. Michelle, please will you tell us a little bit more about your business and why you started it?
Hi, Melanie. I'm so happy to talk to you today. Yes, wow. It kind of feels like a long journey and a short journey all at the same time. Um, I studied fashion design many, many years ago and kind of became disheartened in the whole process because it felt like the way fashion was happening wasn't very good for the planet, wasn't very good for the people, but it was obviously good for the economy because there was this constant drive for more and more and new and new. And yeah, the manufacturing principles and all of those things weren't always the best. And it kind of happened by chance that a friend said to me, why don't you combine your drawing? Because I was getting more and more into my art. Why don't you combine your drawing with fashion?
Mm.
And it kind of sparked the idea of like, how would I like to go about this? And then I thought, I don't have a lot of monetary resources at this point in time. And because I'm really about being good to the planet, good to the people, um, I decided, well, let's just start experimenting with using secondhand clothes, get donations, use garments that are still beautiful and add some art. And it just blew my mind. I mean, when I started painting the first thing I made, which was a skirt, and I painted these huge orange strelitzia flowers onto it, and I was just in love with it, and I loved doing it, and I just knew that I'm on to something. And at this point in time, I don't quite really know how it's going to evolve yet. It feels like a lot of evolution can happen, but that's where I am right now, wanting to combine my decades of skills in fashion, my love for art and beauty, my love for finding better ways to do things
Mm.
on the planet.
Mm. I love it. I think it's a fantastic idea. And who wouldn't want to wear a beautiful piece of art on their bodies, this canvas, instead of just seeing it on a wall? You're bringing art to life in a very real way.
Yes, thank you.
So, when you were working in the fashion industry, what kind of work did you do within the industry?
I started off working in production,
Mm.
and then I moved into pattern making, pattern grading, and after that, I started working as a garment tech.
Mm.
And all of these steps again just happened by pure chance because um, I wanted to go work overseas on one of those 2-year holiday visas um, in my 20s. And then when I got to London, the agent looked at my CV and said, well, you've got all these wonderful skills. I think you could totally be a garment tech.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's how that happened. And yes, so I was a garment tech for quite a long time, dealing with local manufacture, but mostly dealing with overseas manufacturers.
And how do you see the local fashion industry differing from the international fashion industry?
I can only speak from my perspective in South Africa and what I saw in the UK.
Mm.
And I think those two are vastly different
Mm.
because purely because of currency.
Mm.
In the UK, I worked for a lot of different brands from, very cheap, affordable items to a company that used to supply Princess Diana. Like I literally had that variety of input, and it is vastly different in terms of what you can do with the currency.
mm,
So and what kind of quality you can get. Because when I worked in the UK, a lot of stuff was imported from the rest of Europe, or made in the UK. Um, and there you can, you get a better control of, people getting a decent wage,
mm, mm,
how the companies actually employ people.
mm,
Whereas in South Africa, since we started kind of diminishing our own production capacity
mm,
and our own manufacturing capacity of fabrics and things, um, and going more towards China and India,
mm,
um, to me, that's where that sense of control left, because control in the sense of having a good quality product, and also workers that are treated well, workers
mm,
who are earning a decent wage, and workers who are working decent hours every
mm,
day,
mm,
things like that. And I
mm,
think, obviously, in a country like ours, where we do have a lot of poverty, it's harder to bridge these systems, because I know for myself, like I really try and choose very consciously not to buy things from certain countries that I know I don't necessarily want to support in any way. But when you have 20 rand
mm,
and you can buy a bread, or you can buy your kid um, some sleepwear or something,
mm,
your choices become so much more limited.
mm,
So
mm,
in our country, we are a little bit, for now, stuck in that system of cheap manufacture, cheap labor,
mm,
all of
mm,
those things.
mm,
I am very optimistic, because I can see now that after the lockdown, the mindset has shifted.
mm,
I'm seeing a lot of local companies working with even local fabrics. I mean, it's
mm,
pretty hard to find local fabrics in South Africa, but people really are trying to go that way
mm,
and make better choices. And I find that is absolutely wonderful.
mm, mm. I love your insights. Thank you so much. You're beating the same drum that I feel that this message is very important. And how do you feel that we can shift the mindset of the public? Because I also believe that we can really turn our country's economy around if we can begin to make local, grow local, support local. But it is going to take a mindset shift from consumers, from just buying what is cheap to making a decision to buy less frequently, at a higher quality and possibly even a higher price, from the local market. And how do you think we could go about shifting that mindset?
I think, in all honesty, it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm,
I do think that it just takes a few dedicated people like you,
mm,
and also local manufacturers, to just keep on doing the right thing,
mm,
and to keep on doing every day, making the right choices.
mm,
Um, I do think that even since probably the 1920s, I think people have been indoctrinated to seasonal fashion.
mm,
And and even more so in the last few decades, you know, it was more than seasonal. It's like every 2 weeks people expect to see, or every week people expect to see new things in the shops. And
mm,
it's not sustainable in any way, you
mm,
know.
mm,
Um, and a lot of waste and a lot of water usage and all of those things. So yes, I think that it's just going to take people to educate others, you
mm,
know,
mm,
and also for people to start experimenting, because you know, like for like the last 4 years now, I've been just also sewing a lot of my own clothes.
mm,
And just for people to actually experience that, if you have one very well made thing that you absolutely love, you can honestly wear it for 10 years and
mm,
you will love it for 10 years,
mm,
you know,
mm,
as opposed to buying something cheap that is disposable. Um, so yes, it's definitely going to take some education, and also just setting of examples, you
mm,
know,
mm.
like
And
yeah,
I,
and like, you know, like I know, like maybe when I get more into my process, I would also like to just, I don't know, educate some wardrobe planning on like having fewer beautiful, maybe more expensive items,
mm,
um, but not supporting that system any longer. That's not sustainable.
mm, mm. And I think you're providing a great example yourself by working with upcycled resources. So you're also part of the movement in a very positive way. Now, it must have taken quite a lot of courage to decide to work on upcycled and recycled resources. Was that difficult for you? And is it complicated for you to explain to your customers that they're getting a secondhand item?
For me, I I've always had quite a lot of courage, or maybe I don't know if it's courage, but I'm not afraid to try something new, you
Mm,
know. Um, and so I just kind of knew in my heart that I want to do something that's going to make a change,
mm,
and kind of really after I started, I realized that some people are really not ready to buy secondhand yet. You know,
mm,
that yes, there is a huge movement of people buying secondhand, but a lot of people are not ready for that yet.
mm, mm,
And so again, it's education, and you know, there's always early adopters who are ready to adopt something totally new. Um, and yes, I mean, where I'm at right now, I just tell myself baby steps, you know, one step at a time. And Rome wasn't built in a day.
yes,
So yes, just I'm just putting one foot in front of the other, and kind of like educating as I go along and sharing as I go along.
that's a wonderful place to work from, doing what you can with what you have. What sort of artworks do you enjoy painting onto garments the most?
I have always had a great love for botanicals, animals, and a lot of symbolism. Like earlier this year, I started drawing a lot of animals that had even so I drew a raven, and the wings of the raven was made up out of this symbol that became my logo.
Mm,
um, and so as the artwork evolved and evolved, it also became the name Sea Love. So, it just all came out of the subconscious somehow and emerged, into the artwork. And yes, that's how I I think that wearing something beautiful that has beautiful symbolism behind it
Mm,
would also be incredibly uplifting.
mm,
And even if the wearer doesn't quite understand the symbolism, it doesn't really matter, because what I make really is from a place of love and beauty
mm.
and consciousness, and yeah, and that's what I want to share.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what sorts of garments do you like to paint on? Do you just work on skirts or dresses, or will you paint on anything?
You know, so far I've done quite a variety, and I'm really experimenting with just about anything. I've done a sweatshirt that I really loved because I got donated this beautiful blue sweatshirt, and so that is kind of an amazing part for me of this creative process, because if you are a painter or an illustrator, you're faced with like a blank canvas before you start. But right now, I'm looking at the garment, at the shape, at the color, and all of those things before I even start the artwork. And it's been the most amazing process for me to just like, I don't know, it just feels like the right thing always just emerges somehow. So yeah, so I'm busy on embroidering onto quite a delicate, um, almost chiffony shirt at the moment. So I'm doing
Mm,
embroidery as well. And then painting, I've done a sweatshirt, I've done some skirts. I'm busy on some denim items at the moment.
mm.
So yes, I'm just experimenting, and I've enjoyed all the different fabrics and mediums so far.
Do you take on commissions, or do you prefer to make a finished work and then sell what you've made?
I am totally up for both. I love working both ways. Um, I'm doing a commission right now, painting an owl onto a t-shirt.
Mm.
Um, so yes, I love doing both. I would absolutely love for people to give me their garments, um, to do commissioned work on as well.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel any pressure when you're doing a commission project that maybe what you end up making is not quite what the customer envisioned?
I think with something like this, there's always a little bit of that.
Mm,
Um, I Right now, I think the people I'm working with, they kind of know my art style already,
mm,
and I'm sure as this evolves, um, people will become familiar with what my style is like,
mm,
and then I guess the gap between the expectation and the finished product will get smaller and smaller.
mm, mm.
But yes, with something like this, I think there's always there can always be a gap between the finished product and the expectation, and I think that is just a part of what it is.
Mm, mm. What are your biggest challenges in what you're doing right now?
Right now, it feels like yes, that what we talked about before, just the education of educating people that you can still get long wear and love something that you didn't buy new.
Mm,
Um, and also just marketing, getting my name out there.
Mm,
I had a long-standing street style photography blog that I started in 2009, and I almost find that um, it's more challenging in the current social media environment to get followers than it's ever been. The way the algorithms are set up on
mm,
Instagram and Facebook, they expect you to advertise. It was, in the past, it was very easy to post something and get like a few hundred likes, whereas I
mm,
don't know, now it just feels more challenging to me.
mm,
So that is the thing I'm also trying to constantly educate myself on.
mm.
Um, and yes, just trying new ways all the time to get my name and my idea out there.
Mm. Do you feel like the social media space is more crowded since COVID-19 hit us?
Ooh, in my world, not particularly. I don't know. I suppose in a lot of ways it can be, because I think it feels like there is a bit of an influx of people sharing all kinds of creativity at the moment.
Mm,
um I've seen so many videos on like different platforms of like people saying, I haven't painted in 20 years, and like now suddenly since the lockdown I'm sharing my paintings on Instagram,
mm,
whatever. So yes, I suppose in a way. um but I don't know if that if the in I don't necessarily think the influx is what makes it harder to get your name out there. Personally, I think it's more the way the platform is already set up,
yes.
um, to force us to pay and
Mm,
behave in certain ways in order
mm,
to get
mm.
more views or likes.
Well, these platforms need to make money too, otherwise they can't afford to continue and develop. And I certainly know that a
Yes.
lot of the new tools that they're bringing in are really awesome to use. So I'd hate that process to come to an end. Now, Michelle, what do you enjoy the most about what you do?
Um, wow, everything. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Um, I just love everything about it. From, yeah, like I said, receiving garments or donations, and not knowing what I'm gonna get. So it's always a surprise, and then the creative process starts of like, what is gonna happen to this
Mm,
garment? Is it gonna be an embroidery? Is it gonna be painting? Is it gonna be um, and yeah, to seeing the finished product, and to seeing customers love what they buy. It's all really a wonderful process for me.
it's awesome that you love what you do so much. Do you feel that the garments kind of talk to you? I know with one of my groups for a while, one of our security questions was, what do you love about upcycled fabrics? And a lot of people used to say they speak to me. So do you feel that the garments talk to you when you get them?
Um, definitely,
Mm,
definitely. And a kind of part of my process is, if I choose something to work on, I'll put it out to sit in a space where I can just see it for a couple of days.
mm,
And it's almost just that process of looking at this item. walking past it, it's almost like this subconscious communication happening.
Yes.
And then suddenly I just know, what's going to happen, to it,
Mm,
how I want to decorate it.
mm, mm. And how do you label your garments? Do you hand paint your labels also, or have you got a label that you've developed?
I am not at that stage yet. Like I said, limited resources right now, so I'm just working with what I've got.
Mm,
Um, so what I have been doing is using the logo, the Sea Love logo, and that will always be painted somewhere on the garment. Depending on what it is, it can be big or it can be small.
mm.
But the logo will always be somewhere visible.
I love your logo. I think it's such a great concept, Sea Love.
Thank you.
So, Michelle, if anybody is trying to find you online or would like to get hold of your products, where can we see your beautiful garments?
So I am on Instagram at the moment and on Facebook,
Mm,
and both of them are at Sea Love by Michelle.
mhm.
Um, on Instagram, it's got underscores in between the words, so C_love_. Um, and on Facebook, it's just all lowercase Sea Love by Michelle.
Okay. I
That's where
will
you can find me
I
right
will,
now.
for people who are watching, include those links in the description of the video so that they can just click directly onto them and find you in that way. It's been
Okay,
really,
great.
really
Thanks.
inspiring talking to you today. Thank you so much for your time to make this video.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Melanie.